All right, so everyone's talking about this new Tesla FSD V13.2 update.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it seems like it's causing a lot of buzz.
yeah, a lot of hype.
A
Yeah.
lot of hype.
People are saying it's Tesla's biggest
Yeah.
leap forward yet.
Huge leap.
But we're not here for hype, are we? We want to see what's really
Exactly.
on
Real world.
real world experience.
Yeah, that's what we want to know.
Yeah, and we've got some really interesting insights to dig into today.
You do.
And people who are actually, using it.
People who are using it every single day, putting it through its paces.
Exactly, like at Dirty Tesla.
Yeah.
At Holmore's blog. Chuck Cook.
Oh, yeah, Chuck Cook.
Who's always super thorough.
Very thorough.
So, what's the verdict? Is this V13.2 a game changer, or is it just more marketing fluff?
Well, based on what we're seeing, it's looking pretty significant.
Okay.
One of the things that people are talking about the most is this park-to-park feature.
Park-to-park, yeah. So this is where you basically just tell your car to handle the parking completely from your garage to your destination.
From start to finish.
And it actually pulls it off.
Like a personal valet.
Like a personal valet. And it seems like it's not just a gimmick, right?
It doesn't seem like it, no. At Dirty Tesla was really impressed with how smoothly it transitions from driving to parking.
Yeah, that's a pretty
big deal.
Big deal. So beyond just park-to-park, it seems like this update has smoothed out the entire driving experience.
It really has across the board.
So at A Driver, who's known for being pretty critical, actually said
he can be pretty tough.
That V13.2 drives smoother than any Uber they've ever been in.
That's a big statement.
So no more jerky movements or phantom braking?
Which is huge, right? I mean, smooth driving is not just about comfort.
Yeah.
It's also about trust.
Yeah, exactly.
When the car moves in a way that feels natural and predictable, it makes passengers feel more comfortable and secure, which is really important if we want people to embrace autonomous driving.
Absolutely. And speaking of that natural feeling, Chuck Cook, who really puts these systems through the ringer.
Oh, yeah.
Had some interesting observations about how V13.2 handles complex situations.
He did, like unprotected left turns, U-turns, things like that.
Yeah. And he was really impressed with how human-like it felt.
Yeah, it's not just about following the rules. It's about understanding those nuances.
Yeah.
You know how human drivers interact on the road?
Like, I noticed that with this V13.2, they got rid of that steering wheel jitter that was present in
that's a big one.
Previous versions, that subtle, annoying movement.
Subtle, but really noticeable.
It makes a big difference in how natural the car feels.
Huge difference.
To both the driver and other vehicles on the road.
Yeah. And, even these small improvements actually point to some pretty significant advancements in the underlying AI.
Okay, so smoother driving, human-like behavior, and of course that park-to-park.
Right.
But what about regular parking? Has that improved as well?
Well, at A Driver had an interesting experience with that.
Okay.
He had the system back his car into a supercharger stall autonomously.
Whoa, wait.
And it did it perfectly.
So the car found its own charging spot.
It did, yeah.
That's pretty impressive, because backing into those stalls can be a real challenge.
Especially when they're crowded.
Oh, especially when they're crowded.
It's not easy.
So it seems like Tesla is tackling one of the trickiest aspects of autonomous driving.
Absolutely, and they're making real progress.
Yeah, this is definitely shaping up to be a pretty significant update.
Yeah.
But the question is, what does this all mean for Tesla's FSD program as a whole?
Whoa.
Is this really the leap forward everyone is claiming it to be?
It certainly seems like a big step in the right direction.
Okay.
The improvements in smoothness, the human-like behavior, the parking, it's all very promising, but the real test will be how it performs over time in diverse conditions and with a wider range of drivers.
Makes sense. So what can we expect going forward? If V13.2 is this impressive, what's next?
Well, one area where I think we'll see continued focus is on handling those tricky edge cases.
Let's say,
those rare and unpredictable situations that can throw even experienced human drivers for a loop.
Yeah.
Like sudden detours, objects in the road, or even just anticipating the unpredictable actions of other drivers.
Yeah.
Those are all things that I think Tesla's going to be really focused on.
Yeah, and of course there's that ongoing challenge of adverse weather conditions, rain, snow, fog.
Oh, absolutely.
These can make driving difficult even for us humans.
For sure. So they'll need to keep refining those sensor technologies and algorithms to make sure that the system is safe and reliable.
So it's a complex challenge. But it seems like Tesla's making some pretty impressive progress.
They are.
I'm curious to hear your thoughts on what you think is the most significant aspect of this update.
You know, what's fascinating to me is how they seem to be focusing on mimicking human behavior.
Yeah.
Not just in terms of safety, but also in terms of those subtleties and nuances, like that steering wheel jitter we were talking about.
Yeah.
That's a perfect example.
It's such a small detail, but it really shows how much attention they're paying to the details.
It really does.
And it shows they understand what makes a driving experience feel truly natural.
Exactly.
And comfortable.
It's not just about making the car feel more human-like for the driver either.
Right.
It's about making it behave in a way that's predictable and understandable for other drivers on the road.
That's crucial because ultimately these self-driving cars need to be able to seamlessly integrate into a world where human drivers are still the norm.
Absolutely. And that's where I think Tesla's data-driven approach really comes into play. You know, with millions of miles of real-world driving data, they're able to constantly refine their algorithms and improve the system's ability to handle all the complexities of human traffic.
It's an incredibly powerful tool, and it's a big part of what sets them apart from other players in the autonomous driving space.
For sure.
It's not just about collecting data, though.
Right.
It's about understanding it, analyzing it, using it to make the system smarter.
And more adaptable.
More adaptable. And what I find so exciting about this field is that it's not just about engineering. It's about AI, data science. Psychology even.
It's all of those things together.
It's a convergence of so many different disciplines.
Yeah, and it's moving so fast.
It's true.
What's cutting edge today could be obsolete tomorrow.
It's a really dynamic space. So where do you see all this going?
Yep.
What's your prediction for the future of autonomous driving, like 5 or 10 years down the road?
Oh, that's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
If I had a crystal ball, I'd be a very rich man. But what I can say is that the progress we're seeing is remarkable, and if companies like Tesla continue to innovate at this pace, I think we could see a very different transportation landscape.
Like a landscape where self-driving cars are just an integral part of our everyday lives.
Exactly, just normal, and that raises a whole host of other questions.
Yeah, like about infrastructure, regulation, ethics.
All of those.
Yeah, to the social impact of all of this.
Huge implications.
For those of us who aren't like tech wizards or early adopters, how might FSD V13.2 actually impact our day-to-day lives?
Well, one thing I think a lot of people notice is that it's going to make driving a lot less stressful.
Okay.
Especially like on your daily commute.
Yeah.
Imagine your car just effortlessly handling stop-and-go traffic.
Yeah.
Merging onto the highway, doing all the lane changes.
Yeah, you can just sit back.
You just sit back, relax.
And relax, yeah. Sounds pretty good to me.
That sounds amazing to me. And it's not just about making the commute less stressful. It's also about maybe getting some of that time back.
Yeah.
Think about all the time you spend searching for parking.
Oh, yeah?
Circling the parking lot.
Yeah.
Trying to squeeze into that tight spot.
Yeah.
What if your car just took care of all that for you?
That would be a game changer.
And you know, it's not even just about convenience.
Right.
Think about the impact this could have on accessibility.
Yeah.
For people with disabilities who can't drive themselves. This technology could be life-changing.
Yeah, giving them freedom.
Independence, freedom.
But they never had before.
Absolutely, and as the technology keeps improving, those benefits are just going to get bigger.
So we've talked about smoother driving, less stress, time savings, increased accessibility. But what about the bigger picture?
Yeah.
How might these advancements, like V13.2, change the whole automotive industry?
Well, one possibility is that we might see a shift away from individual car ownership to more of a shared transportation model.
Okay, like what do you mean by that?
Well, if cars can drive themselves, then why does everyone need to own their own car?
Right.
Maybe we'll have fleets of these autonomous vehicles.
Like robotaxis.
Exactly, like robotaxis.
That you can summon on demand.
Just like you order an Uber or a Lyft.
That sounds pretty futuristic, but is that something that we could actually see happening soon?
It's possible.
Okay.
And it's not just about personal transportation either.
Right.
Think about trucking and logistics.
Yeah.
Self-driving trucks moving goods all over the country.
That's a big one.
That could revolutionize those industries.
Like some more efficient.
More efficient, more cost-effective.
Safer.
Potentially safer, yeah. But it does raise some concerns too, right?
Yeah, like what about jobs?
Yeah, exactly.
If all these machines are driving, what happens to the people who drive for a living?
That's a really important question, and it's something that we as a society need to think about very carefully.
We need to find solutions.
We do. Things like retraining programs, creating new jobs in these new fields.
Yeah.
Maybe even explore ideas like universal basic income so that everybody benefits from these advancements.
Yeah, not just a few.
Right, exactly. It's a complex issue.
Definitely.
No easy answers, but it's a conversation that we need to start having now.
Yeah, now before it's too late.
Exactly. And it's not just about the economics either. There are also ethical questions.
Like what kind of ethical questions?
Well, how do we make sure that these AI systems are fair?
Yeah.
That they're programmed to make good decisions in tricky situations?
Mm-hmm.
How do we prevent them from being hacked?
Yeah.
Or misused?
Mm-hmm.
These are all things we need to be thinking about as this technology becomes more widespread.
Yeah. It feels like we're entering uncharted territory.
It does.
A little exciting, a little scary.
It is both. But I think if we approach these challenges thoughtfully and we work together, we can make sure that this technology makes our lives better.
So it's not just about the technology itself.
Right.
It's how we use it, how we integrate it into our society.
Exactly. It's about making choices.
Understanding the benefits.
And the risks.
Working together to create a future that works for everyone.
Well said. And that brings us to another important point.
Okay.
The role that companies like Tesla are playing in all of this.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Tesla has been a leader in this field.
They've been pushing the boundaries.
They have.
But they've also faced a lot of criticism.
They have. And I think one thing that's clear is their dedication to innovation.
Yeah.
They're not afraid to try new things.
To push the limits.
Even if it means they make some mistakes along the way.
Yeah, and their data-driven approach is impressive.
It is. Millions of miles of real-world data feeding back into their system.
But some people say they're moving too fast.
They do.
That they're releasing technology before it's ready.
Yeah.
That they're prioritizing speed over safety.
I think it's a valid concern.
Yeah.
It's really important to have a conversation about that balance.
Right.
Between moving quickly and making sure things are safe.
Yeah.
On the one hand, we don't want to stop progress by being overly cautious.
Right.
But on the other hand, we don't want to put people at risk.
Yeah, it's a tough balance.
It is, and that's why transparency is so important.
Okay.
Companies like Tesla need to be open about what their technology can and can't do.
And be open to feedback.
Absolutely. And to criticism.
From the public, from regulators.
From everyone.
So it's not just about the technology, it's about building trust.
It is.
Fostering a sense of shared responsibility.
Exactly. And that's something that applies to all the companies working in this space.
Yeah, we all need to work together.
We do.
To make sure that this technology is developed ethically.
Absolutely. Transparency, accountability, these things are crucial.
Well, we've covered a lot today.
We have.
From the specifics of FSD V13.2 to the bigger questions about the future of driving.
The future of society, really.
It's been a fascinating conversation.
It has.
And I hope it's given our listeners a lot to think about.
I hope so.
And remember, this is just the start of the conversation. So share your thoughts, your questions, your concerns with us in the comments.
We want to hear from you.
What excites you about this future?
What worries you?
Let's keep the conversation going.
We'll be back after a quick break to wrap things up and share some final thoughts.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We've been talking about Tesla's FSD V13.2.
We have, yeah.
And, you know, it's sparking a lot of conversation about what this could mean for the future of driving.
Absolutely. People are really starting to think about what it would mean for self-driving cars to be everywhere.
We talked about robo-taxis earlier.
We did.
But let's dive a little deeper into that.
Okay, yeah.
Paint a picture for us. What could a city that's designed around these self-driving cars actually look like?
It's pretty wild to think about.
Yeah.
Imagine a city where traffic just flows smoothly. Almost like a
ballet.
Yeah, like a ballet, a choreographed dance. The cars are talking to each other.
Yeah.
They know the best routes.
Optimizing everything.
Exactly. No more traffic jams.
What about parking?
Parking. Forget about it.
Yeah.
Parking garages would be a thing of the past. We could use that space for parks.
Yeah.
For walking paths.
More green spaces.
Exactly.
It'd be amazing. That sounds pretty amazing.
It does.
Like almost utopian.
Almost.
But how do we actually get there from where we are now?
Well, that's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's going to take a lot of changes, not just from car companies,
right,
but from city planners,
policymakers,
policymakers, even regular people.
Yeah, we all have to start thinking differently about transportation.
We do. We need to prioritize safety for pedestrians, make sure our transportation systems are efficient and sustainable.
Yeah, so it's really about how we as a society choose to integrate this technology into our lives.
Absolutely, and that's where the ethical considerations come in.
The ethical considerations, right? Because this could have a huge impact.
A huge impact on everyone. So we need to make sure these systems are designed fairly, that they don't discriminate, that they're not used for surveillance.
Yeah, those are all really important points.
They are. These are questions that we need to be asking now, before this technology becomes even more widespread.
Because it could be a really powerful tool.
It is. And like any powerful tool,
it
can be used for good or for bad.
Right. It all depends on us.
It does.